Welcome back to Math Teacher Institute. Today we're going to talk about what to do when a student raises their hand, gives an answer, and is wrong. Come on in. Hi, I'm Manhar Dalal, and this is Math Teacher Institute. I've been a math teacher all over the world, and I have a master's degree from the Math for Teaching program at Harvard. If you love math and love teaching math to others, this is the place for you. So when a student volunteers an answer or participates in your class and takes that risk, shares an answer, and gives the wrong answer, this is a really important and critical time for us as teachers, and we want to treat every one of these instances with some care, because for some of those students, getting a wrong answer after putting themselves out there might be the last time they raise their hand in your class for a long time. So there's a lot of value that we can learn both for that student, for us as teachers, and for the class as a whole. And so we're going to go through a few different things that you want to think about when this happens, and you got to think quick because this happens without warning. So the first thing we want to think about as a teacher is, as quickly as we can, what mistake did they make? So if they have the wrong answer, we want to be thinking through ourselves, well, how did they come to this wrong answer? Now, we may be able to figure that out on our own from our experience. Maybe it was just a calculation error. Maybe it was applying the wrong formula or equation. Maybe it was something else that we can figure out on our own. If not, it's not a bad idea to don't say that they're wrong, but to ask them, okay, well, tell me how you got that answer. Let's talk about how you came up with the answer or why you believe that's the answer. So once we can learn why the student got this wrong answer, then we can start to formulate our plan for where we want to go forward from there. The most important thing we can do when a student has a wrong answer is don't say that they are wrong right away, or don't lead on to the fact that it's incorrect. So it's very important that we allow all of our students to kind of linger a little bit and wonder, is this right? Is this not right? And so that's going to allow us to turn this incorrect response into a learning opportunity for that student and for the whole class in general. All right, so now that we have figured out what the student did wrong, now we want to start formulating a plan for how can we help that student and all of the students understand what went wrong in this answer. So we want to try and ask either leading questions or give some counterexamples that may help the students on their own, that student or all the students, to figure out, oh, I see why this is not correct, right? We still haven't told them that it's incorrect, but we're going to give them a little bit of rope now, a little bit of a hint that, here's something else to consider, or let me ask you some leading questions which may steer you in the direction of the right answer. This is something that you will have to work on as a teacher because it's not easy to do in that moment. It's okay to pause. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, let me think about this for a second. Think about it and then respond, right? But the idea here is we want to take this mistake and turn it into a learning opportunity. And the best way for students to understand what they did wrong is if they discover it on their own rather than us telling them. So try to formulate a response which will sort of guide the students toward the right answer without telling them the right answer. Now, hopefully that student has kind of figured out where their mistake was or seen what they should have done instead. So now we want to kind of turn our focus to the whole class and say, okay, what can we all learn from this? What kind of mistakes were made and what can we all do to make sure we don't make that kind of mistake in the future? So this may be just a gentle reminder about the right kind of formula or the criteria for why to use one formula versus another, a reminder about some basic skills or basic equations, depending on the scenario. But we want to turn this into something that now all students can relate to and all students can say, ooh, that's right. I'm going to think about this next time I do one of these problems so that I don't make that same mistake. All right, now the last part of this is really the key to unlocking all of the parts we've already talked about. And this is something we have to do before we have a student raise their hand and give a wrong answer. This is something you build up as a culture in your classroom. When students raise their hand and give an answer in my class, I never let them know whether they're right or wrong right away. I'm notorious for students raising their hand, giving an answer and say, are you sure? Or, why? And initially at the beginning of the year, students get very thrown off and a little concerned, but often they'll even change their answer, right? I'll say, are you sure? And they'll say, oh, no, maybe it's this, because they think that means they're wrong, right? And then they change their answer and I'll say, oh, are you sure? And now they're all confused, right? So I've created this culture where my response doesn't change whether they are right or wrong. So now they have to be more confident in their answers, and it teaches them that even if you're wrong, I want you to be confident in your answer. I want you to run face first into that wall if you're going to make a mistake. Let's not be cautious. Let's not be careful. Let's go full force. Let's be confident in what we believe in. And if we're wrong, that's okay, because we're going to learn from it. We're going to fix our mistakes and we're going to do better next time. But it's okay. Being wrong is part of the process. So as you head into a new school year or even just a new week, this can be a new expectation that you set in your class, that when students give answers, you're not going to give them immediate right or wrong feedback, and that students should be expected to be prepared to justify or explain their answers, whether they're right or wrong, and then that's okay to be wrong. If you can set this sort of a culture in your class, it's going to pay big dividends down the road, and it's going to allow you to have these really positive and productive conversations when a student does give the wrong answer in your class. All right, so when a student does raise their hand in class, gives a wrong answer, here are the things we want to think about. Number one, how do we know what they did wrong? Whether we figure it out ourselves or whether we ask them to explain it to us so we know. We need to know what they did wrong. Second, we want to try to guide them and the whole class to discover their mistake on their own. Whether that's leading questions, whether that's giving a counterexample, we want to make sure that they can figure out what they did wrong without us directly telling them. The third part is, what can we all as a class learn from this mistake so that we all don't make that mistake in the future? And then the final thing is the one that brings all this together, is changing the way that we respond to right and wrong answers in class so that we can facilitate these discussions in the future. If this video has been helpful for you, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and if you think a colleague might benefit from this, please share it with them as well.